Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walking This Way's Impact Voice podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. We're broadcasting live once again from the DFW, that's Dallas Fort Worth, Texas. Very excited. We are very excited to be back with y'all one more time here on Walking This Way's Impact Voice podcast. We're live streaming right now on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. So, free platform you watch us on. We appreciate you. We really do appreciate you for taking time out your busy schedule to watch along with us. And very excited to have our special guest with us tonight as well. Of course, it's Anthony Amerson out of Illinois. He's a sneaker designer, doing a lot of great things in Chicago. So we appreciate him taking time on his busy schedule. So I'm going to pull him in right quick. Go ahead, Double A. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, thank you for having me, first of all. My name is Anthony Amos. I'm a custom sneaker designer, owner and operator of Sneaker Fair Kicks, and co-creator of the youth program Concepts to Kicks.
And that's what's up. Also, I got my brother back with me, Daquan. Go ahead, Daquan, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, people? This is Daquan, of course, answerus.org. Thank y'all again for tuning in to the broadcast tonight, man. Continue to tune in. Y'all gonna really get some good information, man, and we ready. We ready.
And that's what's up. And also we got Desiree. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, Desiree Bailey with you guys again tonight after last night. So I'm just happy to be here and see what this sneakers are all about.
Awesome. And like I said, man, we appreciate everybody just hanging out with us tonight. And like I said, we're talking about, for all you sneakerheads out there, we have a guy who designs sneakers. Like I said, Double A, Anthony Amerson with us tonight. We're going to talk about how he got into the sneaker game, made a career out of it, entrepreneurship as well. And you know what? We here on the podcast, we love talking about entrepreneurship. We love talking about people who utilize their gifts and their talents. So I'm going to go biblical for a moment. The Bible says that our gift shall make room for bringing for great men. And now people are tapping more into their gifts, their God-given ability, but most importantly, they're cultivating their ability. Just because we got a gift, we still got to cultivate that gift as well. Just can't say, I got a gift and don't put in the work. In order for you to be great, you got to put in the work with that gift and to make it better, and basically it's all about evolving with it. So that's what we hear tonight. So before we get started with tonight, Daquan, you had the biz on the street ready?
Oh, I wasn't gonna do it tonight. I knew we had two guests on, so I said, we're gonna need some more time to speak. This could be interesting, but I don't have a biz on the street, but I do want to say something about our guest, brother Anthony. I appreciate you for coming on the show. I actually been following him it's been about 2 years. A lot of these bosses I've really been following for some time. His work has always been like top notch. And I actually first saw him on my Facebook feed. He had a Air Force One, and it had a Kirby and a Charizard on it. Charizard is my best Pokemon. Don't judge me. And that's what kind of got me hooked. I told my friends and everything, and we just, started following him. He also, we spoke before. He gave me great information for a family member of mine. And he also jumped in on a live with me and my sister, where I kind of pulled them in by accident because I didn't know how it worked at the time. But I just thank him for giving me the time in those days.
Man, that's what's up right there. So it's like Anthony, make an impact just by your design alone. So I'm a gentleman, and I know Desiree has some questions for you. So ladies first. So Desiree, you have any questions you want to ask? Go ahead.
I mean, I told you last night, I'm just ready to have some of these kicks on my feet. Okay. So how can I get a pair of those?
Oh, too easy. You got a lot of different ways. You can reach me directly here on Facebook. I'm always available. If I can't get to you right away, I'll get to you within a short while. You can catch me on Instagram at Sneaker Fair Kicks. Is all one word. I'm the only person with the name. Don't worry about it. First one you see, that's me. And you can also reach me. I could DM you or send you a message. I can send you my personal number, or I can send you my email. either way, I got multiple ways to reach me. So if you want to get some kicks, let's go ahead and step into greatness. Let's do it.
Yes, I
Hey,
like
that's
that.
what's
Look
up.
at, I know I got personal number there going on. That means direct contact right there. I'm going to get me a pair.
And most men made make that happen. Cause you know what? I want to get some walking this way sneakers made. That right there would be dope. That right there would be dope right there.
We can do that.
Ready to get. Oh, it's gonna happen. Like I said, I want to get with you on that and really make that happen. So I can write those when I'm in the street. So we're gonna have a good time here tonight on the podcast. So, matter of fact, I got a couple questions for you, Anthony, as well. And it's
Go
some
ahead.
icebreaker questions. You know what I'm saying? This is something I learned in branding class. Big shout out to Corey Davis. He's an expert on branding. And he broke down these questions for we had to go on the stage and we had to answer these 5 questions. Then we had to give an answer to these 5 questions. So these are kind of some introduction questions for your brand. It's you. My first one is, what is your name? What is your name?
My name or my brand's name. My
Your
name is
name.
Anthony. My name is Anthony.
All right. What you do?
What do? I help people express themselves in a unique fashion, only unique to themselves.
All right. Give us something fun about you.
Something fun about me, I have 2 different ears. One of my ears is pointy and one of them is round.
And what you need today?
What do I need today? I need the support of everybody watching this video. I need you to go out. I need you to support Concepts to Kicks, my youth program. I need you to champion that. I need you to spread the word worldwide so that we can get these students some enrichment and we can keep the arts in schools.
And what smart tip will you give someone?
Smart tip that I would give someone would be to consider how, when, and how much you invest in yourself. That sounds vague, but let's put it in simple terms. Lots of people buy coffee first thing in the morning. You go to Starbucks. How much you spending on Starbucks? Is your future worth the amount that Starbucks cup costs you? If you're not willing to invest in your future, then you're not willing to invest in anything. So keep that in mind.
That's powerful. That's powerful right there. And we know we've been talking about that lately here on the show. Investing in yourself, and what it is now, and that some people do, it's like they're not willing to give up something. It's like, I want the success, but they're not willing to give up something for the success. And I shared it with somebody a while back when I was at work. In order for you to get what you want out of life, you have to give up something. So now it's like I want to be comfortable. I want the success, but I want to be comfortable at the same time.
Yep, I feel you on that one. So my most common answer to that is success is not comfortable. You have not met a successful person who did not have something to say from the time they started to the time you met them, that they had some sort of issue, some sort of shortcoming, some kind of reoccurring issue. That is the nature of the beast. Success is it's a ride, it's a journey. Success is ultimately, because the truth about success is determined by what you feel success actually happens to be. And whatever you see success as is where you're going to start. Now, the thing is that your ideas will mature as you mature on success. Success might look like $1 million at 15. At 32, it might look like just enough money to be able to go on a vacation once a year. Success changes as you mature, but it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah, and most definitely. The corner, you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good point. It is lifelong, and you have to be able to endure for what you want. You know, a lot of people, they just can't do it. Hours too long, or whatever the impediment is to you. But you got to defeat that. If you don't defeat that, then you can't go no further in life. You have to be able to. You can't, just sit down. cry about it. No, you have to get up and actually do it, or else you're not getting there. You'll just stay there and you'll be a well wisher forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. That's right.
I was just going to ask you, so what was your inspiration into starting this line?
Well, this is something that I've done for many years, even just as a hobby during childhood. So I started doing this, taking it serious, I guess you could say, taking my hobby serious about junior high, so about 7th, 8th grade. And it was really just making sure I wasn't going to school in bummy sneakers because that's a no-no, first off. And I was also going to school with people who could get them like every other week or so. Come first day of school, they got a couple pairs already. And I grow up where you get one or two. And you got to hope for Christmas or birthday if you want more than those two for the year. So I was going into this school year with old sneakers, and I was never good on my sneakers as a kid. I just wasn't. I mean, I get down. So I'm going into 8th grade, yes, by 8th grade, and that's when you start to really, really pay attention to your image because these are teen years now. So you get to pay attention to your image, and I'm going to school with a pair of it might have been Jordans. I can't remember. But all white, dingy, and like I clean it as best as I can. So I say, well, you know what? I already been doing it with my shirts and jackets and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and do a little something to the sneakers. I go to school and I'm a hit. So I always say this, and this is the funny part of this story. It's the funniest part of this story. Nelly, the rapper Nelly, threw me an alley-oop that year because July, he had just dropped the song Air Force Ones. Now, if you don't know, that year Air Force Ones went up a couple dollars because of that song.
Wow.
That song increased the price and the desire for Air Force Ones, just like that. So I go to school with custom shoes. That song was the anthem for that summer, and it's all about custom shoes. Everybody is in school with these shoes that everybody has, and I'm in school with shoes nobody has, and I'm just drawing attention because there's artwork on my shoes, which was not a thing back then. So that drew attention, and I was already known for drawing and artwork in general. And occasionally I would do a pair for somebody else just for fun. And by the time I got to high school, that was my occupation because now we're in high school. Self-image is everything. Standing out is everything. Popularity is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to school with people. So I went from elementary school, I went from going to school in one district to junior high, middle school, and junior high in another district. The high school I went to served both of those districts. So I went to high school knowing everybody. And so I had a big crowd. So I would do that. I would make them and I would be able to sell sometimes. But by the time I got to junior year, so junior year, I switched schools and I went to a different school, entirely different district, and nobody knew me. So it was a good opportunity to make a name because I was in deep at that point. And at this school, they were allowed to wear book bags like all day. So I would keep mine. And maybe 3 months in, I just stopped carrying my books. It's like, for what? Because I was getting so much attention because that was all I wore to school was like my stuff. So I would get people like dropping like shirts and jackets and pants and shoes in my backpack. When my backpack got full, I would give people my locker code, tell them to put stuff in my locker. At the end of the day, I was just going home with like piles of stuff because I had this operation going that was smooth to the point where I could wake up in the morning and see like a row of sneakers like on my porch, or I could find them like on my patio in the back, or even in the middle of the night, just people like knocking on my window to like put them through my window. So like that was my thing. And so when I began to take it serious as a profession, is actually just a few years ago. I had spent maybe 3 years or so prior focusing on my artwork non-sneaker wise and focusing on learning branding and marketing and things like that. This was prior to the pandemic. And I had gotten laid off from a job. And I decided to say, okay, well, I'm going to take my passion serious. This part is key because I did this and I failed like maybe at least twice. Starting up the business didn't really work this way. Found some shortcomings in how I was trying to handle things. So I stopped and found something else. And then I did a couple jobs in between. All the while I'm studying my marketing, my branding, and I'm just trying to acquire new skills in the art world. The pandemic hits, the governor of Illinois shuts down Illinois, period. And so I say, okay, now is the time to actually rebrand and start over. But this time we're gonna start over with sneakers because this is the point where sneakers is like a fever pitch. Like people staying up in the middle of the night on websites, on phone apps, waiting for sneaker drops. And I noticed how disappointed people would be for just like a sneaker that's like, man, it's just the Jordan that came out last month, but instead of red, it's blue. But it's so much disappointment. And then the fact that, okay, so you didn't win the raffle or whatever. Now people are stressing over the fact that they may have to spend basically rent money at this point to get it from a third party seller. I said, okay, now it's time to start. Because where I come in is in the fact that no matter how much you spend, if you get that shoe from a third party or you get it directly from the source, you overpay for a shoe everybody else is going to wear. You are not special. So I cut straight through that and make you special. I make you the center of conversation. I make you the person everybody remembers. You are the cool kid now. We're going back to that high school brain. You are the cool kid now because you have the sneaker nobody can have. You have the shoe when you go to the sneaker bar. Everybody's like, I've never seen those before. And you never will because they were made for me. And so I built my brand off of that when I rebranded. So that was like maybe the fourth or fifth time I rebranded. So that's really how I leaned in on it.
Man, that's
I love that. And I love too that you said, we hear so many times where people say how COVID, cost them their jobs. That's when they started falling behind on, rent and everything else. But I love that, your story is that gave you a time during COVID to really get it together and do something bigger. And it was obviously successful for you. So I think that's just a great way to see that, where COVID hurt a lot of people, in this case, it helped.
Yeah. So like, I think where some people, I'm just gonna say a lot of people miss their beat because like that was a great time to launch something and really get it out there because I knew the moment the governor said Illinois was officially just shut down, like the capital was shut down. I didn't even wait for in Chicago to even shut down. He said the capital was shut down. I said, okay, I know what this means because I was in the capital when this was happening. I was in Springfield for an entire month doing some job training. Everything was shut down. There was no toilet paper to be found. There were no noodles, cereal, like staple stuff that doesn't basically like rot. It was gone. All that stuff was gone because people were thinking like how people acted when Y2K came up.
Oh yeah.
Same thing all over again. Baby wipes gone. All of that stuff just gone. So I say, okay, people are getting ready to bunker down. And because we haven't even been given an idea of how long this shutdown should last, how long should these quarantines be? I know what this means. This means internet, internet, internet.
Right.
I have spent 3 years writing, reading, watching videos, online seminars, all of these things on how to brand myself, how to launch a campaign, how to get myself out there for people to see me touring my city, doing like art shows and things. I have a very good idea of what my demographic is and what they're expecting. So now it's time to go for it. And I think a lot of people missed out on that because they may have they may have not thought that the pandemic may have not lasted that long. Maybe they were comfortable, but definitely in the fact that the like that lack of confidence in the fact of just, hey, this is a good time to get eyes on you. I mean, we were all glued to whatever electronics we had. We were glued to.
Mm-hmm.
So it was real easy to do it, and you didn't even have to buy like ad space or anything like that. It's, they're going to see you if you put it out there. Like it. Imagine if you had 24 hours to stay up and maintain the same energy the next day. That's how we were. Every moment you had to do it on the internet because nobody wanted to go outside. It was a great time for
they did, and they didn't at first, and they didn't. And I'm listening to you was saying how we were glued to the internet because stock in Amazon went up. A lot of online places went up, and they were still making money. And that gave an opportunity for entrepreneurs yourself to say, you know what, people are still buying in the midst of the pandemic. Even though they may shut the stores down, they can still have stuff shipped to their house.
Yeah, that and that too. That's a excellent point in the fact that we had so much convenience, even in the midst of people feeling like basically life was over. We had so much convenience. You didn't have to grocery shop because you could just order it, have it sent to you. You have Instacart. You got whatever Walmart's is called. You have Uber, where they will Uber your groceries to you. Amazon made ridiculous money when just like everybody's city was shut down. Amazon was active. That was an excellent time. And then the companies that decided to take that leap and go full force into having an online presence and to show that they could still function in the middle of that pandemic, they actually grew because they proved that, number one, the convenience of online ordering is the future. They proved that ingenuity, basically exploiting a new opportunity in commerce, is the best way to go at this point. They proved that showing your support to various communities and demographics and saying like, we get it. Like, there were restaurants that were saying we're still open, and that was big because a lot of places, a lot of like cities depended on those restaurants for whatever it was. And we're still open. We're not gonna shut down. So there's a lot of like, I mean, even things that I just can't even think of right now. A lot of opportunity the pandemic presented for those who were able to basically just pivot. It's like, okay, it's not over. You just need to be able to change direction. And that right there also opened up new opportunities for those who hadn't started that entrepreneur journey. That was a perfect time because you would do things for less because social media was the news. So you basically had free news advertisement if you really paid attention.
Yeah, that's true. And then you also look at it's like the mindset. Even though people may look at it, some people, the average mindset or the mediocre mindset, they look at it as being defeated. But you have a winner's mentality. You look at it as a win-win situation. Like the mentality, You give me lemons, I'm gonna make lemonade. You're not gonna say what I'm gonna do with these lemons. You know what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna make lemonade. So if I make lemonade, I can sell it on the street because people are always gonna be thirsty.
yeah.
So that's that mindset we have to have. Go ahead.
I think you only get that through personal development and introspection, because where I'm seeing the issues when it comes to like having a winner's mindset is that accountability must come first. You cannot be a winner without having accountability, because a winner is not born. A
That's
winner
true.
is not born. There's no such thing as a born winner. There is, and if you show me one, I'll show you somebody that's been taking the easy route. Because how can one really understand what it means to win if you have never lost? It is That's impossible to really know what a true victory is if you've
Mm-hmm.
never lost. You've never lost, so you don't know what defeat feels like. And for those who feel defeated and you've never set out to actually achieve that burning desire, that like ultimate goal that you have in mind, you have never lost, because you have never set out to achieve your goal. And and that's another thing, is like the boxes, like, so we're talking about boxes, living in boxes. There's no way you actually have an idea of what it means to actually have a winner's mentality, because a box is just an echo chamber. Whatever you say comes right back to you. Whatever you're doing, you get these instant rewards, but if you really think about it and you really sit there with your feelings, those rewards feel small. It's because the risk was small. Small risk, small rewards. And usually you get used to them, and now you don't even appreciate them anymore. You have to take those risks, which means you got to get out of that box. And getting out of that box means, yes, L's. You're going to take way more L's than you're going to have dubs. And that's a good thing, because every L, if you take the time to really pay attention, is a lesson learned. I just said
Yeah.
I failed a business like maybe 4 or 5 times within the same genre of arts and creative ventures, but they didn't work for various reasons. And when I took the time to figure out like how come that didn't work, like the first thing I realized is that my skill level is not my problem, because I've had a high skill level for a long time. It's not my problem. Some of that was my branding. And branding is bigger than I have a logo, which is really confusing for a lot of people, is to think that the logo makes you a brand. That's called branding image. That's not your brand. That's just the image. Those are two different things. So the branding comes down to even how you speak, what words you use, what's your message when you talking, how do you dress? That's branding.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where you go, who you associate with, multiple things go into branding, down to when you type an email, how do the emails look? How do you sign out of those emails? Your branding is basically an identity. It's an identity. Now, if you stayed in a box and you've never taken a risk, you would never know that. And therefore, there are things that you are not entitled to, because you don't know what to look out for, you don't know what to aim for, and you can't achieve things when you don't know. You don't know what you don't know, and half the time you don't know is because you haven't tried.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up about the marketing, the branding, the brand images. I really want for on their target market, have people figure out what their target market is. Like, who you targeting? Like, who is your main focus on? Can you ask a person that they say, I want to start a business? You ask them, okay, what is your market? Everybody. So it's like they look, it's like, I just want to start something, but I don't know my target. I don't know what I'm targeting.
Right. So for me, and I actually do coach people on this, the biggest thing is, again, you gotta get out that box. That box is basically gonna suffocate you. Because you're never going to get the answers you need to succeed. Fear kills every dream. Every dream is killed by fear. So if that's the case, I don't know my target audience. First things first is addressing habits. What kind of questions do you ask? What kind of places do you frequent? Do you talk to people? Do you mingle? Do you network when you are in those spaces? Do you ask questions? I mean, I'll ask people like all types of questions, down to like, what do they eat? What do they do when they leave these spaces? So if it's an art show, oh, you got any plans after you leave here? That's a legitimate question. And the reason I want to know that is because I want to know where my target audience, what type of activities they do outside of like an art show, or if they come to like personally see me, if we do a consultation and I talk to them and I say, oh, you got any plans after this? Oh yeah, I'm going out to eat. Where do you go out to eat? What do you eat? Those are questions that even if it seems useless to me, as long as I write that down, at some point in time, I might get an idea. That idea might turn to something. Where are you going after this? Oh, I'm going to Starbucks to meet up with a couple friends and have coffee. Okay, it's about 9 o'clock right now. After that, okay, so you're going to Starbucks after this, about 9 o'clock. I'm thinking. I might have to think about, how do I insert myself into the space of Starbucks? An easy answer for me is I could buy a bunch of those Starbucks cups that women like, and I could customize them. I could create something from those Starbucks cups. I can have those to where I get the sale and Starbucks doesn't. They already going to Starbucks. They're going to get the coffee anyway, but I get the sale off the cup.
Wow, that's interesting. Desiree, you have anything you want to
ask? No, I mean, I'm over here still thinking like I didn't get to work from home during the pandemic, so I'm jealous that you did and you still do, and you get to do something that you love. I say that. I say that, but with all joking, I mean, I would probably go crazy if I just stayed home all the time. I'm a very sociable person, and so I have to get out of the house. But I do love that because you see a lot of people right now that are like, they were mad when they had to work remotely, and now they're mad that they're going back in to their, their offices. They're like, man, I wish I had a job where I could just be at home working. And so it's good that you get to do something that you're passionate about while, being at home. But so I do like, these are all kind of like personal questions. How long does a pair take to get made? And I know that depends on what you're having it done. Daquan, don't be laughing at me, okay? I told you last night I'm getting a pair of these kicks, okay? And so about how long?
So the more simple ones can be a couple hours, the more simple ones, but the longest I've done was like 6 months, and it was just like every stitch had detail in it. So it really has a lot to do with that. What are we talking about? Like, how much detail are we doing? Are we adding things that weren't there when you bought the original sneaker? Are we taking things away? Really, really detail oriented. And it's gonna also depend on my work volume. Like right now, this is like peak time for me. The spring and the fall are like peak time for me. So you might be in a line. So I might have to call you and say, hey, I'm starting today. So it really depends. But yeah, it could be a couple hours to a couple weeks.
But you want the best anyway. So it's like, you know what? Take your time. I know you all about working the spirit of excellence, and you want your customers to be more satisfied. Yeah. So hey, it's all about patience, timing, and don't want to rush anything because you want the best. Because when you put those shoes on, Desiree, you want people to say, "Wow, we get those from? Where can I get those from?" And it's like, there you go.
Absolutely. So I am not just focused on creating a quality product for you. That it's deeper than that. I'm focused on creating a memory for you. I'm helping you add value to your already amazing life as it is. And that is where my brand stands, is that we are adding value to you as an individual. Whether you wear these one time or you wear them until the shoe falls apart, hopefully you don't. We are creating a conversation piece. We are creating a collector's item. We are creating something that if you wanted to, you could pass it down. We're creating a valuable item that is deeper than a sneaker. That is just the appeal that is a sneaker. We could do this on canvas. We could do this on a laptop. Hell, if you were ambitious enough, we could do it on your car. The point is that we focus on creating value through creating a memory for a person. If you wanted something, like I do a lot of nostalgic stuff for people. If you wanted something like, let's see, where were you when these three were on the same team? Where were you? Where were you when Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman were on the same team? Where were you? This is a memory. This is not just a sneaker. This is a memory. This is sentimental value. You can hang this on your wall of your man cave and look at this every day and say, man, I was 8 years old on that day. I remember that picture. I was 8 years old. And you could put them on if you want to. And you can go to the basketball court. Everybody's like, yo, what's up with that? You have a story on your feet. They are valuable in more than just you being able to wear a decorative sneaker. They mean whatever you want them to mean. So we're all about creating value, which is the most important part of a business, is creating value. And the value you create, again, like we were talking about a couple minutes ago, if you know your target audience, then you know what type of value you need to be creating. You know what they value. And so when you come to me, I got you, because we're going to create that type of value. That's my homie. What's up, Dre?
Yeah, he said, tell me about a time we had made a decision without all the information you needed. How did you handle it regarding custom sneaker maker? Why were you happy with the outcome?
I love this question.
Let me read that one more time. Tell me about the time you had to make a decision without all. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is something that gets better with experience. This is another one of those things that's like, you might take a L and you're just gonna have to own it. You have to own it. That's a part of business, owning the L's that you take. So a time that I had to do this was basically anytime I get an order, which is my favorite time. So this may sound scary, but it's not for me. It's basically when somebody gives me like a one word, one sentence, a simple, vague theme, and they say, do you? So that happens to me a lot, but it's my favorite time because I'm a creative. The more you tell me, the more restrictive it becomes. So when you say do you, but the thing is where the anxiousness may come in the fact of that I have to consider what you like, even color choices. Like, you didn't give me any color choices. I have to consider color choice. I have to consider composition. Maybe there's some imagery that needs to go on there. Would you prefer it further to the left, further to the right? Specifically with organizations, maybe the organization doesn't have like a uniformed identity. Now I have to consider what best suits the intent that we're going for here. They don't have a uniform identity, maybe a specific color choice, but I wasn't given that information. And again, so it comes down to intuition, which is something that you just kind of, you got to go for it, but go go with your best foot forward with your professionalism at the forefront of whatever you have to do. If you have to make a decision, do it professionally. Don't just say to hell with it and do whatever you think. What is the most professional decision you can make, and make that one. And sometimes the professional decision to make is to say, I cannot do this job. That's something that entrepreneurs have to understand too, is to be able to say this job is not for me.
Yes.
Yeah, that is up. So the coin, you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I got a question. How many sneakers you think you did in your lifetime?
I don't know, bro. I don't know, because now we're talking about 20 years of artwork. That's like asking me how many drawings have I done. I don't know. Well into the hundreds. Well into the hundreds for sure. I couldn't even, if I had to guess, in 20 years, I've probably done at least 500, at least. At least 500, considering like what I'm doing to them. About 500.
Man, that's what's up. And what I like about it is you're doing something that you love to do, and you're passionate about it, and that's the blessing about it.
Yeah.
Doing something that you love to do, and being creative with it. And we know that sneakers are popular. Sneakers always been popular. Now people wearing sneakers with suits now. And let me ask you this: have you ever done any custom made sneakers for businesses, or because we know they wearing sneakers now with their suits?
Yeah. So just about any any like industry you could think of, I've touched at least one pair in that industry. And again, that comes down to the fact that sneakers have become a part of our identity now. Your sneaker choice, because sneakers are so diverse, they're a part of your identity now. And so many different sneakers over the almost, it's almost 100 years of like sneakers at this point, almost. So many different choices, and then so many iconic sneakers that already had an identity when they came out, like the Chuck Taylor. That was like the first basketball shoe. Puma, Adidas, like all these shoes have their own identities. Adidas was the the OG hip hop shoe.
Yeah.
Jordan has taken over and reinvented what it meant to be a basketball shoe. Technically, every Jordan that's ever existed, every style of Jordan that's ever existed, was intended to play basketball in. Granted, they were not all basketball shoes, but that's what they were intended for. But now they are a statement. Wearing a Jordan is a statement now. Say you got shoes specifically that were made just for skateboarders, but they're fashion statements now. And then you got shoes that you see commonly in certain professions, like nurses wear a lot of nurses wear the same brands when it comes to the shoes, for like comfort, so like you can wear shoes like for the type of job you have. You're on your feet all day, there's a sneaker for that. So business execs, yes. Nurses, yes. Athletes, absolutely. Whatever you could think of. I've made things for people who make board games. It's again whatever you could think of, because they are a part, ever much a part of our identity as the teams you choose to root for. Your choice of cologne, perfume, what type of car you drive, like all these things we use to identify ourselves and make statements. Sneakers do the same thing. So yeah, if you could think of a profession, it's likely I talked to somebody. unless they work on like an oil rig or something like that. They don't need sneakers.
Nah, they don't. I want to ask you this too. What Drake said. He said, "Yeah, because I had a situation where I used to do videos, and the client told me to do me, and come find out they wanted something similar to another client I did a video for. I'm like, huh? I just gave you Costco. Let's talk about that. You deal with a client,
That's good.
and they say you to do you, but then when you do you, they have an issue with it, but they told you do you. Y'all, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So that for me is the moment where you stand 10 toes down on your professionalism. Understand you it's gonna be impossible to please every client. And I know people would say like, well, duh, but it's like, no, it's not duh, because some of you get angry and you attack your clients. Well, now what you just learned is you learn to ask questions. You learn to ask questions. Granted, you're gonna have people that's gonna say, do you, after you go through your list of questions, but you asked. So you can always say, well, these are the things that you gave me information on. These are the things that you didn't give me information on. Your next client, you could do more than just say, are you sure that I can do me? You can say, no, I need some very specific things from you. I need to know, like a video. I need to know, should it be shot in this way? What specifically is the vision for the video? That way you know, okay, I can do these types of cuts. I can use this type of software to color grade the video. Various different things. So like in my industry, normally what first thing I want to know is the theme. Like, what are we theming this or what? Typically people have an idea of like what they want to express. So get started there. The theme, color choices, any colors you don't like, any colors that you must have. And then two, what could also help in a situation like that is understanding what you are not capable of and being honest about what you are not capable of. That way, you also help to narrow that scope for them, because when people say do you, they give you the scope this big. You gotta zone that in as much as you can to where you just barely just looking, like a sniper. You're just so accurate. But you gotta zone that in for them, because you have to understand that as a professional, a part of your job is educating your audience. It's not just serving your audience, it's educating them. So you provide value in several different ways. Even if you sell a product, that's only one bit of value that you provide. Another bit of value you provide is education. And so between those two, you can get trust like this, because you can provide the education first. Then you provide the product, which seals the deal on the value, and that is trust. So in my industry, knowing what you are not capable of will help people to trust you. If they say, oh, I want you to like make it light up like a LA gear, I have no idea of how to do that. I do. I know how to do it. But if somebody else does not, they need to say that, because if a person was like, man, I would hope that you would have lit them up and did all of this, and you just told them, oh yeah, I could pretty much do anything. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. But you have to be clear on what you can do, what you can't do, what you will not do, because I've been in that situation too, where I've had in the peak of the pandemic, we lost a lot of good brothers to just like senseless violence. And a lot of people approached me for things like in the likes of like George Floyd. They wanted things like with Trayvon Martin, and just the list goes on, things like that. So there were a lot of people who decided that their answer to that was to dig into their self-defense bag, to focus on self-defense more. There was a guy who approached me about doing a design, and I was okay with what he was saying at first. One of my rules is that I don't depict violence in my work. That's one of my rules. I don't promote violence. I don't promote gangs. I don't promote drug use. I don't promote anything that is a public issue, and definitely a public issue in the African American community. I won't represent us like that. That's just a deal breaker for me. You have to have your deal breakers in business. Those are major deal breakers for me. He wanted to have something designed with like his brand and all of this, and he wanted guns. And I was trying to persuade him to say, like, well, this is about the brothers we've lost over the last few years and months. I think we should focus on them rather than focusing on the fact that if they have firearms, then they may have survived. Because one, that is not a factual statement. But two, why don't we focus on something that won't confuse your brand with violence? Because guns are violent. That's just what it is. It is an instrument of violence. Like, I don't care what anybody else wants to call them. Like, oh, it's a tool or stuff. It's a tool for violence. Plain and simple. And he wanted to do this design, and he lost me when he said at the end of the video, I'm going to destroy the shoes by shooting them up.
Oh wow!
So immediately I jumped to him and I said, "Hey, I gotta let you know that I'm not the guy for your project. I have to tell you that I'm not the guy for your project. As much as I wanted to help you, that was crossing my boundary. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't promote gun violence, and that is still violent, although it is not to a person or a living being. You know, that is still violent. You are destroying something, and it had nothing to do with the fact that I was working on this project. I wouldn't be happy that I made something for somebody and then they just decide to like put bullet holes in it. I wouldn't be happy with that. But I'm less happy over the fact that you are going to use my work as a prop piece to say that our brothers would be alive today if they had firearms. That's a very insensitive thing to say, in my opinion. And not only that, but that would tie my brand with condoning the use of firearms. Right. Now, this is maybe 2 years ago. Fast forward. No, this is yes, it's 2 years ago. I was in the middle of launching my youth program. Had I done that and then my youth program launched shortly after, what does that say about my brand? Mm-hmm. That's a mixed signal. That's a mixed signal about my brand. And that may have lost me some support in years later. We see what people are doing on the internet. They're waiting to find something about you that they can use against you. Don't give your ops an opportunity to say that you don't know how to stay on brand. That's one of my phrases, stay on brand. Don't give your ops an opportunity to see something about you and say, that's not who he is. Look at this. Look at this. You see this guy, those shoes, he made those. And then he lets this guy promote gun violence or whatever. You know, it was senseless what this guy wanted to do. And then I would lose my students who I've been with for 3 years now. I could have lost them because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to say, hey, that's a boundary for me. I can't do that. So that helps. That helps. When it comes to like people with the do you or you doing a project and they confuse you, is knowing how to say no or just knowing to say like, yeah, it's confusing to me. You don't have to tread through mud when you don't want to. And any project you do where you feel uncomfortable, that project is a no.
I love and respect that you choose to stand with your morals versus the money. So many people will go against that. They're like, man, I just don't want to turn down the money. I need the money, and so they'll do something that they would normally not do or that's against what their brand is.
Yeah.
So I totally respect that you stood firm on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, for me, the confidence to do so lies in the confidence of that. I know I'm gonna be all right. I know I'm gonna be fine because I put out a good product. I put everything I have into what I do, and I also step out not just on faith, but I step out with all my tools sharp and ready. So if this don't work, that's okay. It's more stuff right around the corner because I know how to get those people. I know how to communicate my brand. I know how to draw people into what I do. I mean, if you don't believe me, listen, I'm talking to 3 people right now who I mean, in a sense, just met me in a way, if you really think about it. That's not something that happens on accident. That happens from hard work and dedication to what you do and also having a plan. When you have a plan, something like that is not a setback. There's no need to be desperate when you have a plan. So what and that guy was pretty upset with me, and he attempted to harass me for a couple of days. Basically he tried to bully me into doing this. Like, man, if you knew how much money is sitting in my studio right now, as far as like commissions, and then like the things that I create personally that I could just put up for sale, you harassing me, you would know that. I mean, and also you just one button away, block.
Right.
That's it.
It's just way too much confidence because I have a plan. I do things intentionally, and now I'm at the point where I've disciplined myself very well to that. Even when I do things unintentionally, I'm still following that same habit because I've made my plan a habit. Take a while, but once your plans become habitual for you, who cares? Who cares? When they disapprove, that's fine because you also have to understand that that person is not a part of your core audience. Your core audience does not disapprove with you for the most part.
Yeah.
They're sold. They bought into the brand already. This guy didn't buy into the brand. That's why he's harassing me and being upset because he didn't know what the brand was in the first place. He didn't know. I gave him all the information and none of it soaked in. But is that on me? No, because at that point I had it down to a pretty good science as to how to communicate my brand to people. He wanted to prove a point, but he didn't realize that he was talking to the wrong brand. I hope that he didn't find anybody to do that because that was just a bad idea for a project.
But we talked about this on a podcast, a couple weeks ago, that people aren't thinking about what the future of some of their decisions are. They're thinking about the here and now, just like they're wanting the money here and now without having to work for it. Without that, what you talked about earlier, the failures that make you appreciate the success that you have, worked towards. And so, you might, a lot of people would have taken it and said, I don't want to lose this money now off this order. However, you're thinking ahead of how much money would I lose ahead of time for those that would have taken that and said, this is completely against what his brand is. This isn't who he's been representing himself to be. And so all of a sudden they're second guessing you, but then also not, you would be losing what you believed in. And sometimes it is about that confidence of just being able to say, the money might've been good, but what I believe in is better than that.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
I don't go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break right quick. And after the commercial break, we're going to jump right back into our conversation because we do got a question that just came up in the comment section. So we'll take a quick commercial break and we're going to jump right back into our Q&A conversation with Ant. All right, be right back, everybody.
A once tight-knit family bond.
Damn it, Tito, didn't I tell you that I'm vacationing? I am retired, which means all our duties have been relinquished.
You still the same. Wake up fussing. I just come home for a little while. I ain't trying to stay in this roach motel.
I still can't figure out how you gonna do that. Honey, you see, when the Lord created me, he created a mighty great sunbeam made in his image. And plus, Yoshi always rolling her damn eyes. One day I got her good. I put a little bit of crazy on her eyelashes while she was asleep, and she couldn't roll her eyes for 3 days. Oh, and that's the time when her eyes was real puffy. I remember when I saw her, I was like, girl, you looking just like your mama with all them bags. I told you about playing with me.
It's broken. When the battle of addiction is lost, resurfacing childhood
You
trauma.
need to get some help. I need to get some help? Really? You're the one that loses friends when you put too much liquor in your body. Okay, and you're the one who ruined your marriage because you're so traumatized and traumatized me all my life.
And revealing family secrets.
I said before you broke it, I recently lost my best friend. My right hand, my mother.
Leaving one innocent soul demonized. You broke Ma's heart.
And I really lost my whole family. But most importantly, myself.
Crucified, the stage play, showing April 14th and 15th at.
With today's technological advances and fast-paced life, BMS is your trusted next-generation IT solutions provider that keeps you ahead of the competition. From humble beginnings, BMS Company is now one of the fastest-growing software engineering service providers, with international presence and golden reputation for excellence. The BMS Company is your one-stop global destination for web development, mobile application development, digital marketing, SEO, Facebook and Google advertising, social media management, business consulting, printing services, and many more. BMS is trusted to provide timely, cost-effective solutions. At BMS, we believe in providing guaranteed results, irrespective of a project's complexity. No stories, no excuses. And core to all of our operation is that we practice what we preach, and we deliver what we promise. We're proud of our dream team of solution-driven enthusiasts, comprising of industry experts in various fields, including blockchain, IoT, and AI. Our unique makeup and cooperate synergy enables BMS to add heart to technology while delivering our trademark exceptional results for our esteemed customers. Get free 3 months of hosting and 30 days SEO when you partner with us today. Call us now on 469-992-4567 or visit our website at thebmscompany.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back here on Walking This Way's Impact Force podcast. We are back for hour number 2 here on the podcast. We're having a great conversation with Anthony Amos out of Chicago, Illinois. Sneakers for you sneakerheads out there. You want to get your sneakers done. He's the man to do it. Very creative work. He's doing big things in the Illinois area, not just in Illinois, but around the world, I want to say out there. With designing sneakers, we know sneakers popular. Sneakers always going to be popular. And I know back in the day, before you wanted the nice school clothes, you wanted the latest sneakers, especially the Jordans. I remember when the Peanut Hardaways came out, the very first ones, everybody was rocking those. The Reebok Classics, K-Swiss. I'm 40, so them shoes I remember. I know the Adidas, the BKs. Man, we had so many great shoes, but everybody rocking those shoes. The Grand Hills. The first Shaquille O'Neal's came out with Reebok. Them shoes was popular. But we know everybody wanted the latest sneaker. They wanted to be the first ones to have those sneakers.
Man, yeah. That was the days. I mean, we had the magic of sneakers is I mean, so I'm 34, just turned 34. So I think what sneakers mean to people like us, the those who grew up in like height, like basically the golden age of like sneakers. What they mean to us is a bit different than what they mean to like these generations. And so what I'm doing now is basically blending the idea into like one thing. Because for us, like it's a nostalgic thing. I mean, we had to do like they think standing in line is a thing now. Man, we was doing that long ago. And back then, if you didn't get the sneaker, you just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And you missed out. You know, there was no going online and seeing if somebody want to sell it. You just missed out unless you was a jack boy and you was gonna steal them off of somebody. You just didn't get them. You know, and that was something for us. You know, having to look at magazines to know when the sneaker was coming out.
Oh yeah, eBay.
Ordering your sneakers through the magazine. I mean, we had Eastbay. That was a thing.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You know, going in the store, putting the shoe on. You know, everybody knows, like, you know, you tap you push the toe to see if it fits.
Oh yeah, that's like, true.
Yeah, like all of that. I mean, we grew up where we actually believed Reebok pumps worked.
Right.
Like,
we thought they worked.
That's it. Man, you remember back in the day, and then you know, with your parents, they would tell you if you wanted that shoe, you had to go get a job. So what you did, you go get a part-time job, work in the grocery store, cut some grass. Because you wanted those sneakers. And it's
yeah, you know, it was a different thing for us because sneakers were still a thing to where most adults wore like work shoes or dress shoes during the day. Casual shoes, which, you know, was like in between a dress shoe and a work shoe. The sneakers were primarily for kids or younger adults. Now, I mean, you got 70-year-old men and women in Jordans now. And not only that, but like again, so like for us, there was no sneak peek that a shoe was coming out. It's just you seen it when you seen it.
Right.
And sometimes when you seen it, it was too late because you seen it on a friend's foot. Mm-hmm. It was like, where did you get those? It's like, oh, you had to been there. It is, you know, like there's no sneak peek like, oh, somebody leaked the release, so now you can watch the website. The internet was, if it existed when you was into sneakers, it was slow. So there was no way that you were going to do that. And it wasn't that many sneaker websites in the first place. And then a lot of that secret information about finding those sneakers was in forums. I mean, this is before you had an IG or MySpace wasn't even a thing yet. It's like you had to be in forums, and forums was secret. Like you had to be invited to them. You had to know somebody. So that little juicy detail about that new Jordan or whatever, you just probably didn't know. And 9 times out of 10, for a lot of us, how you found out about a Jordan is because you seen Mike hooping that day. That's how you found out.
Yeah, that's it. Because we know that right there was so popular. Like I said, back then, we had so much. It was so much limited access back then. To today, you got the internet and everything else. Back then, like you said, there was no internet. Either was by the magazine or you seen a player wearing on TV. That was basically about it. Yeah.
And two, a lot of our fashion icons were on TV anyways.
True.
Like, I talked about this with a group of friends. We gotta talk about it again now. We were talking about who was our like fashion icon on TV, like, and who wore like the dopest sneakers of the time. And it came down to us saying that you either got to, you know, you either say it's Will Smith or you say it was Martin.
Right.
It was Will Smith or Martin. And we looked all this up, and Will Smith has like the record for like the most Jordans on TV. and the most like releases, like official releases, like the great fives. Will Smith. Will Smith. Will Smith was the one who wore them shoes. Everybody was like, "What are those?" Like, and there were a couple people like anybody who watched Home Improvement, you know that the Taylor boys, I think it was the oldest one, always had a brand new pair of sneakers on. Always had a brand new pair of sneakers on. Dude from Wonder Years, the Wonder Years boy, Corey Matthews, right?
World. What means world?
That's Boy Meets World. But yeah, him, the one from Wonder Years, him.
Yeah,
like,
Fred Savage.
Fred Savage. Yeah, it was so many like people who like you found out about sneakers through them on TV. You know, that was like our medium, because the internet was, I mean, again, if it existed when you collected sneakers. Because I mean, like those who grew up in the 80s, I mean, I wasn't even born yet. Everybody who grew up in the 80s, it was like that's what it was. I mean, you can remember those commercials. Everybody remembers it's got to be the shoes, Spike and Jordan. Like everybody remember those commercials.
That's
where
true.
people thought Jordans would help you dunk. You know, like that was a thing. Keep in mind that in the late 80s, early 90s, Nike paid Jordan's fees for wearing his shoes on the court. Keep that in mind. That's how big of a statement a sneaker was that Nike was willing to pay his fines, his basically up until Jordans became acceptable as a basketball sneaker. When the NBA officially lifted that ban on Jordans, every game he played, he got fined, and Nike paid that fee.
Because it was the OG.
Because they wanted Jordans to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, and it was the color too. Because when they first came out, they was red and black, and in the NBA was no such thing as no red and black shoe. And of course, Nike, you're right, and they did pay it. That was like crazy.
They paid his fines for years.
You know what? And I would listen to Magic Johnson. And when Nike first started, they wasn't paying salary like they're doing now to the athletes. They was getting them to do stocks. And Magic turned it down. He went with Converse because they was already established and they was giving out checks. But Jordan, of course, you know, he went with Nike or whatever. And of course, you know, Jordan's a billionaire now. Magic said if he would have knew that back then, he would have been a billionaire by now. But he didn't think about it at that time. Because he was looking at, okay, I'm doing stocks, I'm not gonna get anything.
But see, he wasn't the one to do it. That job was not given to him. That job was given to Jordan for a reason. Because if Magic had that deal, Jordan might not had his deal. And in that case, sneakers might have not been revolutionized the way that they were. Like Jordan turned the basketball sneaker, he turned sneakers into fashion because again, like I said, the whole intent of Jordan was to hoop in them. They were not good. They were not good basketball shoes, but the intent was to play ball in them. But because how big of an icon Jordan was, they became a fashion statement because you know everybody wanted to be like Mike. That was the phrase. I want to be like Mike. So you wear your Jordans on and off the court because that was your connection to Mike. So in business, what I'm saying now, your connection to your potential customers, clients, whatever you want to call them, that's what you want. You want that connection. Jordan connected himself to other people on and off the court. And with them simple commercials, that simple phrase, I want to be like Mike.
Listen, guys, Karma is over here being very impatient. She wants to know what you could design for her.
We could make a nice collar or something like that.
She did so good last night of not trying to get on camera, but apparently tonight she thinks that she needs to be a part of this podcast.
That's
And so
okay.
I apologize for her interruptions over here. Okay, she's been away from her mama all day, and I literally walked in the door, logged in, and she's like, "You're not going on night 2 of neglecting me."
And then also, so we got a question too in the comment section from Andre. He said, "Have you ever customized some fake sneakers, or can you tell right off the bat?"
Look, he's remaining professional. He's staying quiet. He's taking the fifth.
I'm not. Listen. I'll answer that by saying I have no problem with meeting people where they are in life. If you want to wear fake sneakers, okay. I mean, people wear fake hair, fake earrings, fake jewelry. People go to AutoZone to buy parts for their cars. Those are fake parts. Those are not factory parts, you know. There's a lot of things that are not authentic to the original that people do. That's not my business to tell you what to do with that stuff. And if I do know, I don't care, man. Like that's you.
Yeah.
But will I customize a fake pair of sneakers? Is no. The answer is no, because and the reason why is quality control. I don't know what they made of. I don't know what they made of. So anything goes wrong with this process, that gives you free license to say that it's an error on my brand and not an error on the product or an error on your part for that matter. So customizing face sneakers, no, I've turned down several. I mean, I had a guy who had a collection, literally a collection. He doesn't, when the new sneakers come out, he wait for the websites that sell the fakes to come up with them, and he just order them that way. That's his way of skipping the line and making sure that he don't miss out on sneakers. That's him. 9 times out of 10, everybody who say they can see fakes, they lying, because they got YouTube videos where they done purposely duped somebody who claims to be an expert on fakes. They duped them, and they didn't even know that the shoe that they said was real was a fake, and that the shoe they said was a fake was real. They do this all the time on YouTube, showing that these authenticity people, they don't really know what they're talking about. So, you know, if I've ever done a pair, trust me, you got me. And I didn't care because I delivered you a quality product, and that's what you wanted in the first place. But if you were to tell me that you had a pair of fakes, I would tell you to just wear them to work. Because again, that material, it might be bad. It might be bad. And I'm using a very specific product that needs a very specific condition to the material that you give me. Otherwise, I can't guarantee you a quality product. And that's first. Quality and value. Those are the first two things on the board. Everything else comes second. So if you give me something that is factory bad, let's find another option.
Right. Yeah, because you look at it now, because you hear people like, okay, are the Jordans real? Are they fake? You know, we have, like I said, we have a lot of different websites. You have people determine, oh, that's a real Jordan, that's a fake Jordan, and they be trying to find these different things wrong with the shoe. But if we go to the store, we taking a chance.
Yeah, I mean, there are at this point websites that had high credibility for years that have lost all credibility, basically because they have been found out to have been accepting and selling fakes, and they didn't know, but they stood on their brand as being basically they were the experts in authenticating shoes. Now, here's the problem with that, saying that you're an expert in authenticating shoes. a lot of these fakes are made in the same factory that the originals are. Most of them get made in the same factory or get made in adjacent factories. Some of these fakes are made, basically, they take the scraps and they will build the fakes from the scraps of the original material. What's the difference? The fact that the serial code is different. They can fake that too. Do the people look up the serial codes? I guess not, because they get caught saying that a fake is real, not knowing that they got tricked. So I guess they don't look at those codes or whatever they're doing. I mean, some of these people saying like, oh, they can tell by the box. The box isn't shiny enough. Man, this box been sitting in my closet collecting dust. It's been in the sun. Like, it's been, exposure from sunlight can mess up paper. If it's been sitting in a window, the box is damaged because it's been sun bleached. What do you mean it's fake? You don't, there is so many people think they know. I mean, they got people say they can tell by the smell. Okay, this sneaker don't smell the way it's supposed to smell. What? Like, what are you talking about? There's so many things that just don't make sense. And the biggest one is that a lot of these shoes are made in the same factories as the authentic shoe. And and some of those shoes that people say fake is actually a shoe that didn't pass quality control. So people will buy that shoe and go like, like this little part is like a little lower than it is on the other one. But like, I mean, let's be real. If you walk past me in a pair of Jordans, I'm like, nice Jordans.
Yeah.
Unless like your jump man is like pregnant or doing a Watusi or something like that, I probably don't know that is fake. And quite frankly, I don't care because I got my own Jordans to worry about. If yours fake, I mean, and what trips me out is, what do people think they get from that? Like, what do you okay, you spot a fake pair of Jordans. Now what? What would you get from that? There's no game from that.
They want to downplay people. That's what it is. They want to belittle people, downplay people.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you don't know nobody from walk of life come from. Everybody can't afford a $225 shoe, we're saying. But if they want to get something they like, why belittle them for? Because half of them that belittle them, they can't afford it themselves.
Boom. That's why I was going right there. Like, you spent your rent money. And I bought some fakes. Who's smarter?
Right.
Chances.
But this also kind of goes back to the whole reason why you even said you got started in this, though, is only having 1 to 2 pairs of shoes. If they're fake, I mean, just let that person have it. Why are you trying to call them out? I mean, at the end of the day, this could mean what is something that anybody could just do anytime. This might have been something this person actually saved up for a while. And so just let them have that moment.
Right.
Yeah. For me, especially like going back into like business and things like that, is like being careful with what I say and making sure my words and my actions are intentional. Yes. Because my actions are branded, my words are branded. And when I got into really taking professionalism serious, not just being aware of my professionalism, but being aware of the impact of my professionalism, and how my professionalism is presented to others and how they absorb my professionalism, my branding, that got me into that space of thinking about those kinds of things and just considering how much of it don't really matter because you got bigger things to do. Like me as an artist, me as a creative, for me to really be worried about that and concerned with that is silly and hypocritical in some ways, because I'm taking somebody else's IP, intellectual property, IP. I'm taking somebody else's IP and saying I can improve upon it. I remember when what I used to do as a young boy not everybody was down with this because they were like, those are fakes. Nike don't make that. That color don't exist in Nike. I can't buy these at Foot Locker. These are fakes. Like, lots of people were not into this. But for me, it was a form of expression. So for me to really get down on somebody who wears something fake is like, I would make me a hypocrite business-wise. I'm a hypocrite because I'm saying I can.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
I think he froze up on his end. We till you back to it. Like I said, it's interesting. Like I said, man, it's until Anthony get back. I think he froze up on his end. But like I said, man, we talking about some great stuff. Man, there's some jewels being dropped tonight, some gems being dropped tonight on how we look at the whole scenario of what's going on. You know, he brought some great information about, you know, the sneakers, whatever. How he was talking about, though, like you said, that it doesn't matter because at that time it's what they can afford at that time, and that's what people do. People, they want to belittle people, make fun of people. Because I remember back then, I remember back in the state of Alabama when I was in school, you know, a lot of the kids couldn't afford the name brand clothes. You know, they would get picked on if their parents took them to Kmart and Walmart and other places to get their clothes, and you got them from, they laugh at them. And then they went to the uniforms because parents can afford the name brand clothes. And it's not with these kids. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, that's exactly right. And I loved where he said, you know, you got to meet people where they're at. And I think that, you know, just in the profession that I'm in, I see that all the time. You know, we are constantly like, you got to come. So, Daquan, I don't know if you know, I work with the city of Dallas for the Veterans Treatment Court. So I work with any of our veterans that have Class C misdemeanor citations with the city of Dallas. And so, you know, it's you expect them, you tell them, hey, I need you to come over here to court. Well, you're asking somebody who probably doesn't have transportation, who might be homeless, and you're saying, I need you to be here at this time. And so often I'll say, I'll just come to you. If that means going under the bridge, you know, do you know how many other people I actually make contact with when I'm meeting just one defendant under the bridge? And people are like, you know, they should come to the court. Sometimes you just can't do that.
And I like that because that's
and then, you know,
extra mile. You know, a lot of people.
And then, you know, go ahead.
They can't take me down.
We were just talking about you saying where, you know, you got to meet people where they're at. And I was explaining that, you know, I work for our City of Dallas Veterans Treatment Court. And so I help any veterans that have Class C misdemeanor citations with the City of Dallas. And so I will go into the bridges sometimes. I'll go into those bridges to, you know, help do their assessments, find out what their barriers are. And I was saying that some people are, you know, some other colleagues are like, why are you doing that? Just let them come. If they want to take care of it, they'll come here. But some of them don't have transportation. Some of them don't even have the money to pay for that bus pass to make it over to the court. And we're not, you know, Dallas is small as far as everybody knows, you know, I think everybody kind of knows everybody, to be honest with you, or organizations. But, you know, it's large. You can't sometimes that dart doesn't run from one side of, you know, where they're at to the other. And when I was in Montana,
I've been to Dallas. It's huge.
And when I was in Montana working with veterans there, you know, I'm not going to lie to you, I loved it because, you know, which even though the bus ran for free in the town I lived in, and I was in Missoula, but I would go set up a tent and a table down by the rivers where they're camping out. You know, they had a bunch of like homeless camps. There's nothing wrong with going out there fishing with them a little bit, build that rapport, stop, go back, do a few assessments, go back out there. I mean, I've actually floated the Bitterroot River while doing an assessment on a veteran. And so to me, you know, you can learn a lot when you meet them where they're at. They trust you a little bit more. They don't feel like they're, you know, now they come into my court, so they kind of feel like it's a trap if they have warrants out, which it's not. But for me, that's what, you know, I would do 20 assessments where it would have maybe been just one or two that would have made it down to my office. So I think that it's important what you said about meeting them where they're at.
Yeah. So and the thing for me with like meeting people where they are is like, for sure, is that you collect amazing stories about people. And these stories are your power. They are just, for some of those people, they're just a life experience. For you, it's a power because it is a tool. There's so much you can unpack from 10 minutes of talking. When you get good at it, you can unpack something from 10 minutes of conversation. And I keep like I got sticky notes everywhere. I keep sticky notes, notebooks, all kind of stuff with like stuff that somebody be like, this is gibberish. And it's like, but it's not, because you can't crack this code because I'm the only one who knows what this code is. So talking to somebody for 10 minutes, oh man, I could probably come up with a pitch for you that, I mean, I could sell ice to the devil. I could sell rain to a frog. It's just from having a conversation for like 10 minutes. And when you have those conversations, so there's a book I read. I actually show you the book. So if y'all see this podcast, you want to get this book. It's cheap. This book right here, Secret Lives of Customers. This book. You see all of those? Notes. Those are notes. So this book right here taught me a formula. It's funny because this book is a business book, but it's taught in a story format, so it's entertaining. I read this book every once in a while just because the story is good. So it teaches you how to be a detective when it comes to business. So meeting people where they are, that's in here. You meet them where they are. You have a conversation with them. You take that conversation and you unpack it, and you can learn stuff. You can learn pain points. In business, this is your key to success. Pain points. What irritates people about daily life? What irritates them about the things they need to get done? What irritates them about the people that they hire to get those things done? Case in point, you hire Walmart to have groceries, clothes, things to decorate your bathroom with, so on and so forth. You hire Walmart as your one-stop shop. What irritates you about going to Walmart? If I have the know-how and the ability to do so, and I can solve that problem, I just might be able to get your business because I know what irritates you about Walmart. What irritates my clients about sneakers? The fact that they have to wait for them, the fact that they have to attempt to get them in raffles, and the fact that no matter what sneaker they buy, it is not 100% linked to their personal identity. I can solve those problems. Even within my industry, the custom sneaker industry, there are problems I can solve that my contemporaries cannot. There are problems I can solve. If you want to put a dead loved one on your shoe, I can do it. Not everybody can. If you actually happen to be an artist and this is something you have an interest in, I have 20 years of doing it. I have product knowledge down to the chemistry level. I could teach you those kinds of things. And not only that, but I could teach you how to brand yourself. I've done a pretty good job of it. And I can teach you what I know. So I can address a few different pain points. And therefore, I have an opportunity to make sales, because sales are far much easier when you can make something easy for somebody. That's the whole point. Like, the original purpose of self-checkout was so that you can get in, get out. I'm so grateful that they put self-checkout in CVS, because I'm so tired of standing behind this person who don't know what kind of pills they need. Excuse me, I need to get around you. Yeah, I just want this bottle of waters. Boom. and I'm out the door. I'm so grateful they finally put self-checkout in CVS. They solved my problem. I'm tired of waiting behind old people who trying to buy their medicine. No disrespect to my elders, but y'all take a while. You know, and I just wanted the bag of chips and a bottle of water. So, you know, they solved one of my problems. You know, McDonald's did the same thing. Now they got the kiosks. Granted, that was kind of petty because, you know, just hire better workers or train them.
Yeah, right.
Or train them better. But hey, if I'm not in the mood to deal with them nasty attitudes of the people up front, get my cheeseburger. I don't have to talk to nobody. Thank you for solving my problem, McDonald's. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear this person saying what is it's can I take your order, not what.
I know, right?
Yeah.
The strong
like, Uber solved a lot of problems too. You want McDonald's, but you don't want to go drive. I mean, granted, it's a McDonald's on every block at this point, but maybe you don't want to get up. You can Uber it.
That's true. And you know what? And they still making money regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it's like they still making money regardless.
I'll ask every one of you right now, how many cabs have you seen in the last 10 years?
Not many at all.
Do you know why?
Lyft and Uber.
There you go. Why?
And then they offer people to make their own money now.
The same job, but why? It's the same job. You need to get somewhere. You don't have a car, or you don't want to use your car.
Right.
Why were they able to get such a chokehold on transportation? You got buses, you got trains. How did Uber and Lyft get such a chokehold on the transportation industry?
I mean, I think for me, I would say one, you know, you can personalize that service too. So if you're wanting to upgrade your Uber service, you can do that. You give the consumer the control of what their needs and what their, you know, even what they can afford to do. But you're also feeling like it's more personable. And I think that's where, you know, Lyft and Uber came to put these cabs out of business, or these buses. But it's also, you know, you're not out there having to yell for a cab to come, you know, to you. You do it on your phone. Here goes that little click. This is what I want. And guess what? It arrives. Then you're also knowing who it is that's picking you up.
Yes.
And then you're making money too, because they make their own money now doing it.
So do you realize that collectively you just addressed the pain points of several people in this great world that we live in when it comes to transportation? You just addressed those things. You don't think Uber, Lyft, whoever else has these transportation apps, they didn't take the time to figure out what pisses people off about cabs, buses, trains? Yes, they did. And they figured out exactly what you just said. And that's how they got a chokehold on the transportation industry, because they found out what irritates people about needing a ride.
Take limits.
They started, and I guarantee you, I don't remember the story 100%, but I guarantee you, if I was to short form this story into like 1 minute, somebody got in a cab and was like, I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah.
And literally from that point on said, how do I fix the problem that I do not like cabs? That's it. And now you off to the races to get it done. I give you another one. I was just coaching on this 2 days ago. So Airbnb has a chokehold on the hospitality industry right now. You gotta, you out of town and you need a place to stay. What about Airbnb makes it so convenient that you would choose that over a hotel?
It's private.
Also, again, you know, it's that you can do it, you know. I think when you go to hotels, first of all, you know, you don't ever know. You'll say, I want this room. And I've had so many times I'll pay for a room and I get there and guess what? They say, oh, I'm sorry, that room's not available. I'm like, no, I ordered the one with the jacuzzi tub. That's the one I want. Well, I'm sorry. They decided not to check out. So then you know what? And now I'm in a standard room. And here, it could have been a special occasion why I wanted that. And so, you know, you are able to personalize it more when you're doing the, you know, the Airbnbs. But I think it's also knowing you're able to review things a little bit differently that's more personalized to you versus hotels. You can find a hotel anywhere. But to find that custom, you know, like rental that you're wanting, that's important to people.
Let me give you another one. The one that when I ask people this question always gets glossed over. An Airbnb feels closer to home than a hotel does. Because it's probably a part of a home. It feels closer to being at home. It's a home away from home. Airbnb has said that before in different words. It's a home away from home. Feel at home. So you get the same amenities without the noise, the distractions, and it's convenient. You don't have to worry about people bothering you being in your space, just like at home. Here is part two to what I'm talking about. So again, like I said, I coach people, and this is one of the examples I use. Has anybody heard of Verbo before?
Yes.
Okay. Verbo is different. And Verbo positions themselves in a position that say, we do what Airbnb cannot. So what happens when the whole family needs to go? Now you got to buy a hotel, right? The whole family's going. Mom, dad, kids, cousins, aunties, all of that. Can't get an Airbnb. Airbnb is maybe 3 people at max, maybe. You know, and a lot of times, like if there's like a house, people try to get on Airbnb, everybody has to rent a room. So you have to hope there's enough rooms to rent to actually get the entire house. Verbo is about renting houses. It's Verbo's language is saying we're a home away from home. You get the entire house. So the newest commercial for Verbo basically takes a shot at Airbnb by showing people leaving home, traveling. They get to the place and there's like all this noise because there's people on the other side of the wall, other travelers, or like a common space. Like I think in the video, there's like a dude trying to eat at a table, and there's like other people at the table just doing all this other kind of stuff, basically in his space. You know, and then it goes to like people playing by a lakefront with a house in the back, a swing on like a tire swing, stuff like that. People run around the house and it's a family enjoying themselves. So they position themselves to basically say, basically like, oh, Airbnb is cool if it's just you, but what happens when you need a house? What happens when the whole family goes on vacation? What happens when you have to take the kids and the wife on the business trip with you? That's how they position themselves. So they address 2 pain points. The fact that Airbnbs can be inconvenient depending on your situation, and the fact that they give people who have homes that need to be rented an opportunity to make money because you can rent the entire house. So I can put up, if I got a nice property on a lake, I put it on Verbo, not Airbnb, because now they can rent the entire house. I don't have to worry about how many people are here. There's a family here. I don't care about making sure everybody checks out on time. The family checks out at the same time. So they address 2 different things, and both of them are in the hospitality industry, but one of them does one thing. Airbnb doesn't try to convince people that we're for families. They don't try to convince people of that. Verbo does.
Can I ask you another question before we do run out of time? I don't know whenever Furman's going to cut us off. Can you tell me more or tell the audience more about the youth part of your collection?
Say it one more time.
Can you tell everybody more about the youth part of your collection?
Okay. So my youth program is about teaching underprivileged children about entrepreneurship in the arts, but it's also teaching them in a very subtle way about their impacts on the environment and the environment's impact on them. And what I mean by that is, so every year we give them like this coloring sheet with like a Jordan on it. So like these are like a pair that I'm working on right now for one of my students. You can see so little.
Okay.
So we give them a theme, we give them a coloring sheet. They design the coloring sheet. We pick through hundreds of them to find about 8 to 10 people who hit the theme, who made the biggest impact on us with the theme they were given. And what I do is I go and I actually create the tangible shoe from their drafts. Now, what this is doing is plays into our program's name, Concepts to Kicks. We're showing them that ideas can become tangible things in that simple way. They only care about the Jordan. That's all they care about is getting Jordan. But what they're learning is through the simple validation of me saying, "Oh, congratulations, here's your pair," is that idea that they had was valid. The entire time as the process is going, while I'm working here behind the scenes, my partner, who is their art teacher, is teaching them basically the same skills that I'm doing. We're teaching them about composition, color choice, these types of things, and how those play into various aspects of creativity, and then even other things too. So like we show them like graffiti videos. They get to see videos of me doing what I'm doing and what that counts for. But what we're doing is we're putting the A in STEAM. It used to be STEM, right? Schools were all STEM, 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 STEM. But then, like, especially in Chicago, they realized that was a mistake because employers are starting to need people who have, yes, the ability to be experts in science, technology, mathematics, so on and so forth, that they need them to be able to come up with creative solutions. And we are stimulating that part of these children by having them do this. One of the biggest things that had an impact on me was last year's. We have a young girl she's 12 years old, and her idea was about overfishing. And for me, I was like, that's very interesting for a black girl from this area to be concerned with overfishing. There's no lakes, there's no ocean. We're in like a inner city environment. Why would she really? What does that mean to her? And so I'm reading the draft that she gave me, and her draft says that she's concerned about her potential as a future marine biologist, because in 50 years time all the fish will be gone. So she's concerned on whether or not she'll even have a career before she graduates college. She's 12 and she's concerned that her dream job won't exist. What 12-year-old has that type of foresight? And then I'll add on top of that, how many African Americans have you heard say they want to be a marine biologist?
Not many.
None.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to say. Zero. I have never heard that a day in my life. So to see that and to see that's on her mind, she's got other things to worry about. I have students that I work with that don't know where they're going to sleep tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I have students who don't know if they're going to be in school tomorrow because their parents might say, we don't have the gas money. It's either I go to work or you go to school.
Mm.
We have students like that. We have students who have like, I mean, just think about it. Think of anything that a child from a lower income city, not even a house, a lower income city, a city that you could consider is basically like almost being written off. Think about any issue you could think of for children like that. And then consider that this young girl who is 12, this young 12-year-old African American girl, is concerned on whether or not fish will exist by the time she actually becomes a marine biologist.
I love that. I love that, you know, you're giving them an outlet to show their creative side and to also think big. We talked about this a couple weeks ago about how, you know, kids are dreaming big, and we tell them, you know, be a little more realistic of what your future is going to be instead of letting them be creative. And so I think that you're giving them that outlet to be able to think outside of the box and know that, you know, that no dream is too big of a dream. Okay. And then just also having that safe place that they could come, that no idea is a bad idea. I think that that's important for our kids these days, especially kids that are, you know, from single parent homes, from, you know, the poverty, income families and stuff. A lot of them don't get that opportunity to express themselves like that. And so you're allowing them to do that. And then also just being able to take that sense of pride of knowing that they came up with something is, you know, something that's going to help give them. And, you know, some of them may not be getting that same pat on the back, you know, from their home. And so when they're coming there, when they're coming there and you're, you know, encouraging them to express themselves and you're telling them it's great, I think that that is so important for, you know, the shaping of our younger generation.
No doubt. And I mean, there's so much that goes on that I haven't even said. I mean, so we're in our third year. We've expanded to us our sister school involved in our program now. And now we're reaching attention of other districts and other schools in the Chicago area to get involved. So we're expanding daily. And just really, like, I mean, we're at a point where like logistics is the issue now. It's not even getting these kids involved. They want to, and other schools want to. It's how do we get them involved now, not if. And what we've seen over these 3 years is an increase in attendance. We've seen a decrease in behavioral problems. We've seen an increase in performance in school. And we've also seen these children, which is probably the most powerful thing to me, take ownership, take pride, and take accountability in what happens with their education. Because they want to be a part of this program. And they understand first thing is first, you got to be in school the entire time the program is going on. And you cannot have disciplinary issues. And one of the other things that really like brings me joy about our program is that previous winners still participate, hoping to win again. People who did not win the next year are, you know, if I come up to the school just to meet up with my partner, the program hasn't even that year hasn't officially started. We haven't officially started for that year. They're already ready. Like, when is it starting? I'm ready. If we're at the end of it, they're saying, when does the next one start?
So I was just going to ask you this. So for anybody that's watching now live or will watch this on a playback, if somebody wanted to help get involved to help you to keep this program going, is there a way that you can take donations, or is there any kind of sponsorship that anybody can do? Tell us as the viewers what we could do to help get involved to make sure that we're keeping this going for those younger kids.
Sure, absolutely. On my website, sneakerfairkicks.com, there is a GoFundMe. You can donate to that GoFundMe. We've been using that same GoFundMe for forever, since we started. You can donate to that GoFundMe. You can personally contact me here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can, anybody who wants my information, reach out to Furman, Daquan, reach out to anybody on this cast. I'll give you my information. I'll personally direct you to my links. I'll personally direct you. I'll guide you there. And again, to also understand that I would love to have your money, but I would much rather have you in my corner.
Man, that's
If I could have you speak for me in places that I cannot be, you would do way more for me than your money ever could. Because these children are my heart. They are me. I am them. Their experiences, I probably had them. And if I didn't, I know somebody close to me who did. These children are our future. And I don't say that as a cliche term. They really are.
Right.
They are going to change this world because they don't think like us. They're going to change this world. And if you want to spend your last days on a planet worth living on, you have to invest in them. And again, you can do that for me simply by sharing this podcast episode. You can do that by reaching out to me and asking me for links. It does not have to be your money. I love the fact that people would like to financially donate. If you're in the Chicago area, get with me and come spend some time helping me grow this. If you don't have money, that's fine. Can you give me some of your time? And again, the quickest thing you could do, the most rapid thing you could do is share this, share any information on my website, share my Instagram, share my Facebook, share my YouTube, because those children for me come first. I'd rather focus on building the next generation than anything else.
So I'm definitely going to hit you up to get any links that could be shared. If there's one thing that Furman can say about you is about me is that I am all about resources. I'm all about networking. I think that if we're not out there supporting one another, no matter what business you're in, then that's such a selfish thing to do. Okay. And so especially something so important as this. And I like to say that, being half Filipino and half Irish, I've got a lot of extra little spice in me. I don't say feisty. It's a little bit of spiciness there. And so I am one that will advocate and promote. It doesn't matter if you're in, Dallas Fort Worth area. I'm going to put it out there to anybody. And so I'm all about networking. So I would definitely love to get all that information so that I can share it with anybody else that I come in contact with. And are you buying, look at this, Furman, I'm going off of our first podcast. Do you guys get grant funding for anything?
Oh yeah.
Because we have a great grant person now, don't we, Furman, from our podcast a couple weekends ago.
True.
I would love those resources. Any grant resources are great. So our next goal is to actually have a physical location, because we want to expand past doing like an annual event. And I want to expand this into workshops to where they don't have to just be children. It can be adults. You need something to do for the day. Keep them busy hands going. Come see us. We don't want to limit the communities that we serve to just dealing with sneakers. Maybe you don't care about sneakers. We have the ability to work with pottery. You want to build some pots? Cool. You want to learn? You want to learn how to paint? We can do that. Collectively, between me and my partner, there's like 50 years of education. We can do those things. We focus on the children because they're next up, and some of these children won't have any guidance if we don't do something. So. Yes. Our goal is to expand to a physical location. We don't want to be limited to school hours. We want to expand to something bigger than that. We want to be able to bring guests in to speak on things that we can't speak on. We want to develop a community center that is focused on the creative side of us, because we all have a creative side. And it needs some massaging. You need to use it, and it will benefit you. So that would help. And you, my dear friend, you said you're in Dallas, right?
Yes.
Come see me in Houston on June 3rd.
Oh man, look at I'm going to be in Houston, but I think it's going to in June, but I think it's later on in that month that I'll be in Houston for a conference. So, but so you'll be there. Look, I was actually going to say I think we should take a podcast on the road and come visit the workshop is what I was about to tell Furman. That's what we needed to do.
Oh man, I mean, if I can get it built soon, well, I mean, I might not have to get it built, but we just want to do that type of thing. And I mean, if there's somebody who knows somebody who can, I wouldn't care if you just if you let me rent a building. I'm perfectly fine with that. We would prefer to own it. But again, yeah, it does not matter how you want to support. It's just that you want to support because my youth, they deserve it. Your youth, they deserve it as well. In the near future, we will be developing a curriculum, and therefore, what we do will be mobile. We won't have to be directly involved, and that will free us up to do a lot of other projects with these students. And with that curriculum being developed, you can use it for anything. It won't have to be sneakers. If you want to use our program and develop it based on ceramics, you'll be able to do so. We're working on that like pretty diligently right now. And so once that's out and I announce that we have a curriculum that you can purchase, buy it. Maybe you don't need it, but you might have a little cousin that needs something to do on the weekend or for the summer. Buy our curriculum. Give it to his parents, her parents, and let them walk that child through that curriculum and watch that child improve through arts. Watch that child become a better student through arts. Watch that child some of those behavior issues that you can't seem to wrap your mind around. Watch them alleviate. We've already shown that in several different ways. I mean, nobody wants to hear like the nerdy statistical data, but we have it. We have it saying that we know that these children have improved, and our program directly influenced that. My partner won Teacher of the Year. That was this summer. I mean, well, last summer, I guess it's 2023 now. He received Teacher of the Year for the district. The year before that, they didn't have one principal, they had two VPs instead. Never heard this before. But one VP was not so sure that our program would work. The other VP took a risk, said, go ahead and launch it. She became the principal the next year. I received that same summer. I received an award from the Army, an award that I didn't even know existed, and I guess most people don't, because that's how many people have this award. Because you have to have, I think it's about 2 years of volunteer service in your community. So I have like this rare award that the military gave me because of this program. So we're doing things. I mean, we've been on the news 3 times. I've gone to several different states to be in conferences and boardrooms and meetings to talk about what we're doing here. I've been on cable TV to talk about this project. So this is not something we just made up. This is not something that is like some simple passion project. It's a movement. We're doing something here.
That's it.
So if you really want to help us, please contact me, contact any of these lovely people. They'll get you to me. Visit my links. Visit sneakerfairkicks.com. There's an entire tab where that shows you everything that my project has done from start to finish. Get involved.
But I would love to see you find that support so that it, like you said, outside of the school hours, you know, kind of like how boys and girls clubs do, where they have an after school program. That's what I would love to see, because I don't know if a lot of people, you know, stop to think about the fact that, you know, some of these kids at school, that's the safest place that they have. That is the place that they know they're going to get fed. That's the place that they know that they can feel, you know, that they're getting some kind of attention. And so for me, if they know that those requirements, you got to be going to school, you've got to be making good grades in school to participate in your program as part of those requirements, so that so it's not being used as a daycare. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Right.
But because, you know, I know a lot of people think Boys and Girls Club, that's a daycare for after school, but to know that they have something to look forward to, that they can participate in this as long as they're meeting those expectations of them, and then being able to thrive off of that. That's what I would love to see for, you know, your business. And so my juices are just over here flowing of like different things and who I could try to reach out to. And so I'm all for it. I'm supporting you 100%. I think it's important. I think that, you know, we need people that are investing in our kids.
Yeah, that's important. It really is. And I know we had a great time here on the show. We did like over 2 hours. It was an awesome show. And also, panel, we appreciate you, Double A, for what you're doing. Desiree, the Corn as well. Big shout out to Coach Shay. She be's on the show. Big shout out to Ursula as well. We're going to be back Saturday morning. We're going to be talking about narcissism this Saturday morning with Dr. Wade. That's going to be Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. So y'all join in. We're going to be talking about narcissism. We know that's a topic that goes around. We hear a lot of people, they go through relationships, they break up with somebody, they say that person was a narcissist. So we're going to talk about all that this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So plug in, tune in. And also, man, y'all follow Anthony Ames as well on all his social media platforms as well. Desiree as well. Matter of fact, go ahead. I'm going to let everybody go solo for a minute. So I'm going to start with Desiree. Desiree, go ahead and plug in your information, how people can get in contact with you as well. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, of course, you can always reach me at the City of Dallas Veterans Treatment Court, and that would be at desiree.bailey@dallas.gov. And I'm also with the administrative director for marriage management. So any veteran couples or partners that are wanting some, you know, good tools for that toolbox for a healthier marriage, please reach out to us at marriagemanagement.org. I am also with the Heroes Rise Alliance for Veterans and the Coffee and Community podcast. But shout out to my 100 Men Enterprise, who I'm very thankful for. We have expanded from our veterans to also working with our youth and got a grant with JD Finish Line to help the youth in our community. So any of those platforms, please do not hesitate to reach out, and that is at 100men.net. So that's me.
Awesome, man.
Go ahead. You can come on here. No, I was going to say, or you can come on here.
Oh, go ahead, Daquan.
Hey, this is Daquan. Real simple to reach me. It's either on Facebook at Daquan Jones. You can go to my website at answerus.org. That's for all my virtual assistant business needs. You can, we provide inbound, outbound call services, a lot of stuff to just basically start connecting with the community. So again, answerus.org or Daquan Jones on Facebook, always open.
And that's what's up. And also go ahead, Double A.
Yo, okay, real quick. You need custom drip. You need the best sneaks you can get. You're trying to make a statement. You want to stand out from the crowd. Reach out to me at any social media platform, Sneaker Fair Kicks. That's Sneaker Fare Kicks. It's all one word. SneakerFairKicks.com. Instagram, Sneaker Fair Kicks. YouTube is Anthony Amos Kicks. What else I got? Facebook, Sneaker Fair Kicks. Twitter, Sneaker Fair Kicks. Concepts to Kicks. Please, please, please help me support these children. Let's get these youth what they deserve. Let's get them in the arts, boost that creative mind, that creative energy, whether they become mathematicians or astronauts. Creativity is a must in today's industry. Help me build the creativity of today's youth. You can support me in that venture by reaching any of those platforms that I just mentioned. Sneaker Fair Kicks, all one word. You can't find me, Google me. I'm gonna be the first thing that pops up. Sneaker Fair Kicks. Real quick, shout out to all my veteran friends. Shout out to all my homies who supported this podcast. And again, you keep tuned to this podcast. And hey, thanks for having me.
And like I said, man, we appreciate you as well. Me, Daquan, there's Desiree, Coach Shay, Ursula, big shout out to Desta as well. We appreciate you. We thank you for taking time out your productive.
Yes.
I don't say busy. Somebody told me don't never say busy, say productive. Your
Productive.
productive schedule and hanging out with us tonight as well. Like I said, we're gonna be back here Saturday morning. Hey, y'all can check us out. We live stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday, of course. We got some interesting gifts. We got some firepower coming up for the rest of this month. Going into April, the calendar still filling up. We're not just reaching out to people in the DFW because we got and we got Ant from Chicago. We got an artist from Philadelphia that's coming to the show soon. I'm working on having a featured guest. So those who don't familiar, what we're gonna have is China White. If not, y'all not familiar with China White. China White did some with Lil Jon Eastside Boys.
Yeah.
So I reached out to her, so I'm planning on having her on the podcast. Soon she reached back out to me on Instagram, so I'm looking forward to that. We got a lot of stuff going on. So much stuff. Y'all should check out last night episode with me and Desiree. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about relationships, being open, communication. To the point now, people are. We talked about having uncomfortable conversation, but you want to make it comfortable between two individuals before you say that, hey, let's get together and be exclusive. We want to make sure we get the feeling out, if that makes sense, Desiree, what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
instead of just jumping and say, yeah, let's get together, but we don't know anything about each other, then we get together, then all hell breaks loose.
We talked about that communication for a healthy relationship.
Yeah, that stuff is important. We talk about a lot of stuff, so we'll be bringing more back that up soon as well. So we had a great night, man. Also, like this, y'all remember the graveyard. Everybody had one thing in common. They thought they were going to see tomorrow, and they didn't. Let's live life like it's our last. And most importantly, man, y'all give Anthony Ames on the work that he's doing in Chicago. Give her Desiree the work she's doing here in the DFW. And also my boy, the Corn, the work that he's doing. Big shout out to the Corn. I'm giving him his cigar right now. This brother be on it. He's constantly working. He constantly grinding. He always lets me know what's going on. He connects with a lot of people, and a lot of people. Yeah, the Corn told me about you. The Corn told me about you, and the stuff that you do. So I'm giving. That's how. Yeah, that's how. Matter of fact, that's really how Anthony came on the show because of the Corn.
Big
as well. He's very ill. He supports everybody. I know he's been getting red flag. I think the Corn on certain occasions where they put restriction on you and stuff.
Yeah,
don't let them stop you. Don't let them stop you. I'm gonna tell you why. First thing I tell all of my mentees is that you got to start believing that God wants you to succeed at whatever you're doing. Right. You gotta believe that first. You gotta believe that God has already created a space and a path for you to occupy. You gotta believe that first. If you don't believe that, nothing else matters. So when you face adversity, you don't start looking at it as if stuff is hard for you. You already know that God wants you to succeed. So this has to happen in order for you to get there. You also have to understand that faith without works is what? Dead. So that means that you have to be challenged, because anything that you put out in the universe comes back to you. And first thing that comes back to you, though, is the challenge to see if you deserve it, to see if you are worth what you're asking for. But I totally agree. At the top of that understanding should be that because you said you want to do it, the way has been open. You just got to put forth the work because God has already set it up for you to win. You just have to believe so. So red flags don't mean nothing. Red flags are the little rocks on the road for you to stub your toes and trip over and do all of that. But the point is that you get back up and you keep going because you know that the way has already been opened.
Yeah, most definitely. And where a lot of it come from, you got haters out there. You got haters out there. And that's what they do. They go and report to Facebook and all this other places because they jealous of what you're doing. And they don't like that. It's crazy, but you keep doing what you're doing, my brother. Keep pressing, which I know you still keep going. And when that stuff comes up where they want to restrict you from this and that just people be hating. That's what that be. And they just jealous because you're doing it and they're not doing it.
That's when you know you're doing something right.
Yeah,
exactly. If it ain't hard, I mean, I talked about this earlier. If it ain't hard, you ain't doing nothing.
True, I agree.
If it ain't hard, you ain't doing nothing. If it don't scare you, it ain't worth it.
Yes.
If it don't scare you, it ain't worth it. My mentor told me this though. What I said is true, but make sure you learn to take leaps that you can afford the injuries from. Don't just be taking leaps just because, but make sure you take a leap that you can afford the injury from, because it's gonna be some growing pains and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and always gonna be that. But keep doing, man. Keep doing, y'all. Everybody's keeping up the great work. I know, like, so we about to get off the air tonight, man. Y'all have a great Wednesday night. Stay productive. Be about your business. Make sure you get your rest and stuff. Of course, get your rest. Make sure you're hydrated. Stay healthy too. Stay healthy. Work out. That's part of your mission, especially if you're in business. We gotta take care of our bodies. God only gave us one body, one temple. We gotta take care of it. So invest in your health, ladies and gentlemen.
Give you some insurance.
Give you some insurance. That's important. Give you some insurance. Take care of your life. And remember, we only got 24 hours in a day. What you doing within the 24 hours besides sleep? You can't sleep 24. You can't sleep all day. You can't sleep all day. You got to get something done. So, man, y'all be blessed, man. Y'all have a great night. We're going to be back here Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We're going to be talking about narcissism with Dr. Coach Wade Saturday morning. So I hope y'all tune in. We want the comment sessions. We want to hear what y'all have to say about narcissism. And we're going to get into some in-depth conversation about narcissism. We really want to get into the definition. Me and Naquan, we talked about this a while back. And narcissism is not a gender. It's a personality, which means anybody, whether you're a male or female, can adapt that trait of a narcissist. We'll get more into that because people think it's one side. It's not. It's a personality. Look it up. It's a personality. So we'll talk about all that this coming Saturday morning. So, man, y'all be blessed. Have a great night. We out this thing. Peace, everybody.
Peace, everybody.